Today I'm starting in Canning Town. I've just picked up my taxi because it had a service and some bodywork repair done on it. But one other cool addition you will like is this higher light cap. So in theory, I shouldn't have people trying to hail me down whilst I've got passengers on board. As I'm over this side of town, it might make sense to go to City Airport. City Airport is a tiny airport in that Royal Albert Dock area. To get there, we've just got to go past Canning Town Station along Silvertown Way, over the Silvertown Viaduct, and into the North Woolwich Road. En route, you can see the Greenwich cable car. Now, driving out to City Airport is a little bit of a conundrum because you're going out of town to go to rank at the airport. If it's empty, then you could really strike gold. It's awesome. The other telltale sign is seeing how many cabs are coming away from the City Airport area with jobs on. I don't see many taxis coming my way, so I'm thinking I'm not going to be so lucky today. On the left-hand side there, you'll see the final portion of the rank. And then on the right-hand side is a feeder, followed by another feeder along the wall. Yeah, it's quite busy. It might look like a gap there, but we have to go a bit further along because sometimes cabs can be held up by the roundabout. In this case, they are. Also, yellow badge drivers from Sector 2 are allowed to rank here at City Airport, as of course it's a bit further out of central London. The difference with a yellow badge and a green badge driver is that us green badge drivers, our knowledge focuses on central London, and yellow badge drivers will cover a particular suburban sector, and that is their knowledge test. City Airport is quite a primitive system. It pretty much functions like any other taxi rank, and is quite a bit different from Heathrow. At Heathrow Airport, it works in columns, so you can park your cab in the column and then you can leave your cab there for a bit and then only come back once your column starts moving. However, at City Airport, you have to constantly do the budging up, as you would do on most other taxi ranks. It also doesn't have a locals system like Heathrow. Heathrow, if you have a little job just going over to the Bath Road, a nearby hotel, you get to queue jump and come back directly to the terminal. However, at City Airport, if you get a short job, tough luck. The worst one I've had is when people want to go to the Excel Exhibition Centre or one of the nearby hotels here. You know, a little job over to a local hotel might be £10, but you could queue for up to an hour. There's this little screen here, which just shows you the condition of the rank ahead. We join into this feeder portion. And I eventually make it to the barrier. Now, this barrier is a super simple system. All you do is you just put a £1 coin in it. I imagine this fee is to cover the space of the taxi rank. Sometimes there's marshals here that help passengers into the cabs as well, all those kind of things. And generally it's an airport, they want to get as much money from you as possible. The ideal job at City Airport is to get one heading into town, because that can be about 40 quid or so. And again, it depends how long you've been waiting on the rank. In today's circumstance, it takes about 1 hour to get to the point. Because this is such a small airport, it can vary hugely on a day-to-day basis, just depending on the kind of traffic and volume of people coming through. And lucky for me, the lady wants to go to Bunhill Row. And amazingly, I managed to pull it. 2 weeks off work, no caffeine, and Bunhill Row. Just off of Chisel Street in the city, somewhat near the Barbican. Easy peasy. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be going out the Hartman Road and back in the way I've just come from that North Woolwich Road. So there's plenty of time to think here. I'm just stoked it's not an XL, because that's nothing more demoralising waiting for an hour and just getting a £10 job. It's the most simplest of routes. We just leave it by the North Woolwich Road. We go over the Lower Lee crossing. This is a really good view here because you get to see the O2 Dome, you get to see bits of the River Thames. It's just a nice bit of elevation here and a lot going on. Comply by the roundabout and leave by Aspen Way. We're going to go into the Limehouse Link Tunnel, and all I've got to think about now is how I'm going to get up into the city. I could continue along the highway, but it generally gets a little bit sticky as you approach East Smithfield. And then I've got to kind of work my way back up into the city. I opt for Butcher Road, then left into Commercial Road, because there's a bus lane running all the way down it until you get to Aldgate. Meaning that no matter what the conditions, I'm pretty safe here. Fun bit of trivia here, the first place I ever lived in London was just here off the Commercial Road. The little flat on Nelson Street. It was an awful house share. I was only in it a few months, and I remember the front door had a knack where if you didn't slam it, then the front door would just be open.
You do know the front door was open again last night.
Right Middlesex Street and a left in St Botolph Street. We're coming in from Duke's Place, Bevis Marks, the oldest synagogue in London there, and forward Chamomile Street. En route, the lady actually changed her destination. She just wants to go to the Apex Hotel, specifically the one on Compton Avenue. Wormwood Street, forward London Wall, and left into Compton Avenue. They're doing a bit of construction works down there, so you can't get all the way down. I just drop her short and instruct her exactly where the hotel is from here. It's 4 PM on a Thursday afternoon in the City of London. Not quite going home time, but who knows what the city might hold. This bit of Holborn Viaduct is a little bit contentious. As I'm looking for a job, I should technically be on the near side, but there's also a cabbie behind me looking for a job. Now the trouble is, if I pull on the near side, cab driver will take the offside lane and overtake me and everyone else there. So I play strategy here and go into the offside lane. And it's sod's law, as soon as I do, a hand goes up on the near side. I managed to pull in plenty of time, all fine around the bus, and pick up these ladies here. If you want to learn a bit more about this etiquette and road positioning, then this video here goes into a lot more detail. They asked for Barrio Restaurant, Covent Garden. I don't actually know this one. Ask them to elaborate a little bit more, and they say, oh, it's near the Garrick Theatre, Charing Cross Road. But she says, oh, if you want to just drop us by the Masonic Lodge, that will do, you know, that's just round the corner. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. Garrick Theatre, Masonic Lodge. Bit of conversation, it eventually does come to me. They're talking about the Gillian Lynn Theatre on Parker Street. It actually favours them if I drop them on Parker Street, so we scrap the idea of dropping them by the Masonic Lodge. It's super busy along High Holborn and the Rosewood Hotel. Not even the bus lane can save me here. Forward High Holborn, left on the Kingsway. Holborn Station on the east side of the Kingsway is actually what you see is the opening shot for Only Fools and Horses. Just look at it. Then we can get a right into Parker Street. Forward over here, set them down on the right. Easy as that. I'm thinking I'm going to head to the Oxford Street area. Nice beautiful day like this, there's bound to be shoppers or people milling around up there. Eventually I managed to nab this gentleman on the east side of Oxford Street. He just wants to go down to the west end of Oxford Street. He's after the Virgin Active on North Row. So we can get him there and work out where to drop him as we get a bit closer. As we approach Oxford Circus, you can see there's this car with quite a funny format of number plate. This is actually a diplomat, and going one step further, the preceding three numbers will tell you what embassy it is. 236 is Qatar. I get to go straight over. Only taxis, buses and cycles can do this. It's the height of summer, so of course driving along the western arm of Oxford Street, the chances of not seeing a rickshaw are slim and none. Now, knowing this gentleman's going to the gym, I ask him if he wants me to stop on Oxford Street and then he can walk the rest, or I can go all around to Marble Arch and come back on ourselves to drop him directly outside. He's fine with Oxford Street. The only issue is I'm not really left with much space to drop him. As you can see, because this pavement is widened and we're quite close to the traffic light, the only sensible place for me to stop is in the bus stop. Oof, warm out here. Let's check the condition in the back, make sure everything's all good. I'm not going to lie, as excited as I was to get back to work, I was also somewhat anxious. Sometimes I find it takes a little while to get back into the full rhythm of driving and route calculation. You know, when someone hails you down in an area that's kind of a little bit tricky and you instantly think of the correct way out of there or know that you've got to get a U-turn to be in the correct way. I feel like my brain's not quite there yet. It's going to take me maybe by the end of my shift to kind of get back into the swing of things. Also doesn't help that I've decided to stop drinking caffeine because I always have coffee. I love coffee, but yeah. Taking a bit of a break from that. Now, speaking of taking a break and just being here on Dunraven Street, this is the ultimate time to get Y-Food into me. The Y-Food are a complete meal replacement shake. If you've not had these before, these are like your favourite tasting milkshake, but as a complete meal. You might be wondering, are they healthy? Why would you want a liquid meal? I often find it's this little sliver of a time I call lunch, even though it's nearly 5 o'clock, where I'm like, I haven't had any lunch yet. So this is where Y-Food comes in perfectly for me. Because these are made of long life milk, you don't have to keep them refrigerated, so they're perfect to keep in the boot or in your bag. Because the nature of the job, I have no idea where I'm going to end up. This one bottle contains 500 calories and contains 34 grams of protein. You're hard pressed to find any other lunch option with that high amount of protein at this good value. If you want to give these a go, I've got the classic chocolate flavour here. Just use my link in the description down below or the code TAXI-YouTube. Use it on anything and everything across the site. Show them your support because they help massively on this channel. Now, let's get back to my shift. I head into Mayfair, don't really have much luck there. And as I'm coming down Bolton Street, I clock this guy and his wife. He just looks a bit out of place, kind of like a deer in the headlights. We try the telepathic mind stare, but unfortunately, nothing really happens. When I get stuck in traffic, it does the American touristy thing of asking me if I'm available for hire. Every time someone does this, I have to resist the urge to kind of come up with some tongue-in-cheek comment like, well, yeah, if the light's on, it means I'm free. Because at the end of the day, he's in the middle of the road, so I just want to ensure they get in the cab as quick as possible. I don't want to make any further confusion. They hop on in and they want to go to the Avon Hotel. Now, exact thought process that comes to me. It's one of those small kind of hotels in the Sussexy Gardens area. So that just involves going out onto Piccadilly and then turning right to come back up Half Moon Street. We're going to do a bit of a shimmy through Mayfair, left Curzon Street, right Queen Street Mayfair, left Charles Street, left into South Street, and we cut over South Audley Street. Go forward on South Street and we go past the Egyptian embassy on the left hand side. That's always under police guard, as you can see. And these little back streets of Mayfair never have any traffic on them. Just keeps the cab moving, which is nice. And left into Upper Grosvenor Street. This is our exit onto Park Lane. En route, it comes to me. The Avon Hotel is in Norfolk Square, but it's actually in the top right of Norfolk Square, so you can drop it on Norfolk Place. Just means we don't have to go all the way around. Here on Marble Arch, Trigger has crashed into the back of an Ocado van.
You can't park there, Dave.
From Bayswater Road, it's the usual Hyde Park shuffle. Right Hyde Park Street, left Hyde Park Crescent, and a left into Southwick Street, left Sussex Gardens, and a right into Norfolk Place. Now I dropped them short here, and I let them know that if I was to go all the way around Parade Street, back down London Street and into the square, it might add a couple of quid to the journey. And also, probably about 2 or 3 more minutes. This pays dividends and is the exact reason why I do this, because as soon as they get out, you can see there's a gentleman heading towards me. This is the exact reason why cabbies want to be as efficient as possible. If I went all the way around just for the sake of an extra couple of quid, then I'd miss out on this job that's coming over to me now. This guy's going to jump in and the meter's going to start at £3.80. So I'm much better off time-wise and money-wise. Plus, if I'm more honest with the passenger and have their best interests at heart, I'm more likely to get a tip. Straight on and off here, this gentleman and his guests just want to go to the Noppy restaurant on Warwick Street. When a passenger gets in and wants to go to Regent Street or anywhere near Regent Street, I always shudder. It's just crap. I know as soon as we get somewhere near Regent Street, it's gonna be awful. Anyway, let's see, we might be in luck. I stick it on all the big roads to get there. So I exit via Parade Street, come down Edgware Road, around Marble Arch, and down Park Lane. Coming via Upper Brook Street, forward Grosvenor Square, forward Brook Street, and I'm going to go past Claridge's. We're not going to use New Bond Street because there's multiple traffic lights there and it's generally quite slow. So we go one further so we can get our right into St George Street. This is always clear. Then a left into Conduit. Come as far down Regent Street as possible by using New Burlington Street. The passenger knows the area fairly well and knows that it's only a short walk from here, so they bail out at this point. And sod's law, as the light turns green, someone hails me down again. I pull over to the side just to ensure I don't block the traffic trying to get out of New Burlington Street. Even though this road layout is a complete mess, I'm still courteous to allow traffic to flow. This lady hops in and she just wants to go to Harrods. Nice, that's hopefully going to get me out of this sticky situation. So from New Burlington Street, left Regent Street, and we come left Conduit Street. It's a little bit different from the usual route I take to Harrods from, say, Selfridges, because we're already a little bit lower down into Mayfair, meaning that we can just go lead by Fitzmaurice Place, go right Curzon Street, left Bolton Street, and that sets us up for the right into Piccadilly, meaning we can get the underpass. We can skip the whole of Hyde Park Corner, which is lovely. I haven't thought about it actually. I've got that new peak on my highlight, haven't I? So in theory, when it gets a bit busier, you know, around rush hour time, I should hopefully get less hands. Nope, you still get the people who wish to try and hail you down. Through the Piccadilly underpass, forward into Knightsbridge, bear left into Brompton Road, Little bit of a melee going on here, and I drop directly outside just by this police incident that's going on. Whilst I'm down in this area, might as well give Harrods a go. I try the side door, but there's no room there. On Hands Road, I get stuck behind a vehicle whose number plate is probably worth more than every paycheck I've ever received. And just a bit further along on Hands Road, this gentleman hails me down here. Now, a bit of a contentious one because we're not really near either Harrods rank, right? The back door does overrank into Walton Street. In fact, you can see a cabbie there. But that's technically not the rank, so that person's not joining that rank. In fact, I have just as much of a right to take this job as the person to the right of me. The cabbie on the right is at the junction, has to give way to me. In the same way that there's actually another door to Harrods that doesn't have a rank on it, but cabbies that are trying to get to the other rank will take a job from there. In really busy establishments, the rules do go into a bit of a grey area. This gent just wants to go to Courtfield Road. Nice, just got to head out west along the Cromwell Road and drop in. Nice and easy around Hans Place, right Pont Street, and Beecham Place is back open. Grab a left into Brompton Road, Furlough Place, Cromwell Gardens, Cromwell Road, and it's pretty solid in this area. Sometimes when you're dropping in that area of South Kensington, it can work where you go through Furlough Place, through South Kensington Junction, and then use the roads that run parallel with Cromwell Road. The issue is, if Cromwell Road's busy, lots of people have the same idea. Cromwell Road's not moving that well, so I'm going to use Stanhope Gardens, can't be any worse there. Forward into Harrington Gardens, comply by the roundabout, leave that by right, Ashburn Place, comply by that roundabout, leave that by left, onto Courtfield Road, and drop the passenger just here as the traffic resumes again.
Yeah, it's a bit mad, that, a bit gnarly. It's absurd, I've never seen it like this before. So you saw how heavy it was along the Cromwell Road. Trouble is, you can sometimes cut through Harrington Road and stuff like that, but it's just as busy. I've never seen it like this before. All up Collingham Road, look, to come out onto Cromwell Road. That's all the way back down to the Boltons. That is the issue with this job, is that when you run out of options like that, you run out of options. That's what gets really stressful. I'm just going to chill here for a little bit. I'm going to head back. There's a lot of cabs that are POB, presumably just trying to outsmart the Cromwell Road, but it's pretty brutal, really.
I head on back in and we get to Brompton Road. Bit of traffic here as the bus lane is out of action, and I manage to spot the concierge hailing me down over at Beaufort Gardens. So, head over there. He jumps on in, and I then pick up their guests. They hop on in and they want to go to Duck and Rice. It's not one I'm familiar with. And I make sure they confirm in case they might mean duck and waffle or some other permutation of duck and some other food stuff. I mean, there's probably a duck and avocado in Hackney. After confirming the address, it's on Berwick Street, nicely back into Soho. I'm thinking Brompton Road leading up to Scotch Corner. It's going to be a mess because it always is. So I cut through Montpellier Street and Trevor Place. But wow, this bit by the barracks is super heavy. Look at this. It's been a while since I've seen it like this. My higher light cap seems to be working. These people on the left here at Knightsbridge clearly are looking for a cab. In fact, the little child is waving, but they know not to hail me down because they can see that my light is off. Forward into Knightsbridge, we bear left on the Hyde Park slip road, and at Hyde Park Corner leading into Park Lane, we have the usual rubbish here. I'm hanging the right hand lane here because I want to get Deanery Street just by the Dorchester. From here we just head over into Hill Street, go around Berkeley Square, leave out at Bruton, Conduit Street. It's not too bad here. Left into Regent Street, right into Great Marlborough Street. Forward Knoll Street, and we'll get a right into Berwick Street. Now Duck and Rice is actually based within the pedestrianised bit of Berwick Street down at the south. The other tricky bit is just finding somewhere to stop. I managed to find this gap here on Broadwick Street and let them know where the restaurant is from here. I work my way out of this little portion of Soho and back onto Oxford Street. Quite quick to get a hail here on the street, and the lady wants to go to Brockley. I can't think of the last time I went to Brockley, to be fair. It's kind of annoying. You're not allowed to turn it down because it's within the 12-mile radius that we have to take a job from central London. And to be fair, if central London is this full of traffic, it's sometimes nice to get out and away from the traffic. From where I am, I've just got to think about how I'm going to cross the river. I've got two options. I can either go over Westminster Bridge, but that means I've got to go down Regent Street, and we've already seen what Regent Street's like. Or I can go over Waterloo Bridge. So I turn around and I head in that direction. Here's another potential punter who doesn't understand the higher light system. In fact, one of the things I really miss doing when someone's hailing you when you've got a passenger on board is just to point at the light. It lets that potential passenger know, oh, his light's off. Light off, he's busy. And they can put two and two together and hopefully stop hailing down cabs that have got jobs on. All the way along Oxford Street, forward into New Oxford Street, forward Bloomsbury Way. This is all looking pretty sweet. And a right into Southampton Row. Now, oddly enough, traffic builds up here a little bit, but as we approach the junction of High Holborn and Kingsway, you can see there's been an accident here and it's been taped off by the police, forcing a lot of traffic into different directions. That means the Kingsway heading down to the Aldwych is going to be a little bit heavier. Right into the Aldwych, and we bear over into Lancaster Place and Waterloo Bridge. From Waterloo Bridge, I'm just going to go Tennyson Way, leave by Waterloo Road, comply by St George's Circus, and leave by London Road. Man, I hate London Road. It is just disgusting. You have 3 lanes here. The leftmost is majority bus stop, and at the very end, it's a left turn. The 2 rightmost lanes are to turn right into Elephant and Castle, thinking that majority of traffic goes that way. However, unfortunately, a lot of traffic, and us included, want to head to the New Kent Road direction, which is left. So you end up fighting with all these buses that are dropping at the bus stop, then they're pulling out. All of this traffic in front of me, all within this lane that's actually for turning right, are trying to get into that left-hand lane. And the police van right by the traffic lights is certainly exacerbating matters. I think if they made Elephant and Castle a roundabout, it would probably sort this issue. Here on the New Kent Road, I know that this bus is going to pull in, so I stick to the offside lane. And I know that this car on the left-hand side is going to know this as well. So I hang back a little bit, waiting for this car to eventually pull out in front of me. Nice bit of local knowledge. It just makes the whole driving process a lot easier and stress-free. We go over the flyover along the old Kent Road and get right into Pomeroy Street. Forward Lausanne Road, left Gillatley Road, left Drakefell Road. We learned them all on the knowledge, but I've got it here on my A to Z because I am no way remembering all those. They're just roads to me now. Right Endwell Road, Brockley Cross, I left that by Brockley Road, all the way through, turn left, and drop the lady there. I'm quite close to Healyfields Park, so use this as a chance to stop and reflect.
Man, I am far away from town. Brockley, ugh, what, 10 past 8? God, that took me nearly an hour to do that job. That's just obscene. Sometimes it's a blessing because it takes you out of town when there's all that traffic and madness going on, and then you can get a clear run back in. Yeah, look how beautiful this is. Healyfields. It's mad to think this is all the places you used to come when you was on the knowledge. You'd come scout round here for little points of interest, and you think, when I get my badge, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to be a cab driver. I'm going to be all over London. I'm going to pop into that little, coffee shop. I'm going to pop into that little bar for a bite to eat or whatever. No, it never happens. You never come down here. And even now, I see people walking around. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to just stop and be a part of life outside here. But such as the realities of being a cab driver. It is a life behind glass. With that in mind, obviously, I've got to get back into town. Well, it's 8 o'clock now. Hopefully one of the apps will go off. Maybe there'll be someone getting into town, but unlikely, I guess.
Sadly, I get all the way to London Bridge without even having a sign of any form of work from the apps or from the streets. And realistically, London Bridge is going to be the first place where I'm going to get a hand come up on the streets. Head over London Bridge, following this cab. Pennies go left, pounds go right, so I head towards Bank Junction as it's well after 7 PM and pick up this job here. They just want to head to London Bridge Station. Super easy, turn back round, William the Fourth Street, go through Swire Junction, over London Bridge, left into the station forecourt and drop them neatly there. I've already had luck in the City of London, so it makes sense to kind of go back there because there could be more work there. As we're going past Wren's magnificent masterpiece on the right hand side, I get this hand just by the steps out the front. I do have a good look over to the front. I can see there's no one on the rank. There is a cab turning onto the rank, but he's also picking up a job as well. So I get these people here. It's my job. It's a two-parter. They want to go to Bank Junction and then on to Bermondsey. Now, I know instantly from where I am, I can't actually get into Bank Junction, and it's kind of annoying because it upsets the continuation of the route. So the best thing I can do is just to get as close to the closure as possible by the Mansion House and Queen Victoria Street. Now this lady comes over to my cab and she's thinking that these customers are getting out and then she can use my cab. Unfortunately, I let her know that, yeah, sorry, I've still got another job to do. It's always sod's law. You can never find a job, and then once you've got one on, there's always loads of people who want you. I then reorient myself so I can get onto Cannon Street and head this lady to Bermondsey. She's just off of Southwark Park Road, over London Bridge, left onto Tooley Street. Now, I could have run this by coming all the way down Borough High Street, left Southwark Park Road, but Tooley Street is usually quite clear. Right Tower Bridge Road. You can cut this up a little bit using Abbey Street, but I mean, I don't do it that often, so it would be a bit of a risk. Just go straight down Tower Bridge Road, left at this little slip roady bit here that pulls you on the Grange Road, forward into Southwark Park Road, and she just wants to be dropped here on the right, just after Balaclava Road. Can always remember Balaclava Road. It's just such a silly name for a road, Balaclava. On Southwark Park Road, we look at what the local residents get up to for fun. There's a group here on the junction of Bermondsey Street and Long Lane. They might want a cab. Nope, they're waiting for their Uber. Is he going to stop on the crossing? Yep. Now, I don't approach central London from the southeast that often, so I just start heading towards Bermondsey Street. The thing is, I always forget now, is you can't drive the full length up Bermondsey Street. It forces you out via Tanner Street and you've got to work your way back in. I'm thinking I'm going to head to the Shard because it's a really weird setup of a rank. There's only a few ways you can get to it, primarily if you've come from the southeast. Fortunately, there's a few cabs already on that rank. Let's go back to the city. There's not a lot going on in the city, and rather than follow this empty line of cabs forward into Fleet Street, I opt for the right onto Farringdon Street, taking a slightly different tact. And as I go underneath Holborn Viaduct, it pays off. This gentleman just wants Compton Terrace off of Upper Street. It's quite easy to remember because of the name and the fact that it's this quite unique one-way stretch of terrace houses just off Upper Street. We just head up Farringdon Street, forward Farringdon Road, right into Rosebery Avenue. Sadler's Wells looks a little bit quiet, so I'm not too sure if there's anyone in here tonight. Left into St John Street, forward into Islington High Street, continue along Upper Street, and look, on Upper Street you can see there's a burst of people coming out the Almeida Theatre. Might be worth checking that on the way back down. Cross the lights and get you right into Compton Terrace. Nice. He says, just drop me by the columns. Like the true geek I am, I feel compelled to identify exactly what type of columns they are, but I've managed to hold back. Head back down Upper Street. Unfortunately, there's no one left from that Almeida burst. It is only a small theatre, I guess. And heading down Rosebery Avenue, I accept an app job, as it's only a few minutes away. Where I am, it's probably likely to be about another 10-minute drive before I'm picking someone up, so it's nice to have a guaranteed job like this. Annoyingly enough though, it's in Seckford Street, just off of Clerkenwell Green. Seckford Street used to be this awesome little cut through across Clerkenwell Green, but since they've remodelled the whole Clerkenwell area, you can't get into it anymore, of course. And I have to come in from the east using Goswell Road to get me in. This job's going to Ledbury Road in the Notting Hill area. From here I know I've just got to get up onto the Euston Road, but it's a little bit tricky how we get up there. We just have to take a right into Rosebery Avenue and come up Amwell Street. Forward Claremont Square, left onto Pentonville Road. We have to wiggle down Penton Rise, forward into King's Cross Road to get that little right into Swinton Street, right Gray's Inn Road, and we cruise our way out onto the Euston Road. From here we can cruise all the way over to the Marylebone flyover, peel off using the Harrow Road slip road, comply by the Bishop's Road roundabout, and leave that by Bishop's Bridge Road. I'm going under because at the time of recording this, Lord Hill's Bridge was closed, and to be fair, there's not too much between the routes anyway. forward into Westbourne Grove, right into Ledbury Road, and set the gentleman there. Dropping this job off, I'm right near the A40 Westway, so I'm going to head on home. As a treat for making it this far into the video, I'm going to leave another one on screen for you to watch now, but be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go and watch that video.